Good afternoon, everybody. It is 6:30 p.m. And go ahead and start this meeting. The City Council for the City of Brookshire, Texas will hold a workshop on February the 6th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. in Brookshire City Hall, located at 4029 Fifth Street, for the purpose of discussion of the following. Before we go into that, first I'd like to do our pledge. I mean the prayer and the pledge. Sorry about that.
Is the chaplain doing the prayer? Okay. Eternal Father in heaven, we are grateful for the blessings that thou hast bestowed upon us and upon this city. We're grateful for thy hand which has guided our direction. And we ask this night, Father, that as we look forward to the future, that we might find wisdom from thee and the choices that we make, that we might be inspired and directed the best ways to serve our citizens. We ask, Father, that this night we might find together harmony and peace, and that we might be able to move forward as a unified body in making Brookshire the best that it can be. Father, watch over those that are not with us and protect them. This we pray in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Miss Melina, would you call us to order, please?
Sure. Alderman Neuendorf. Present. Alderman Taylor. Here. Alderman McAnally.
Present.
Mayor Branch.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill is running late. And Alderman Branch. Here.
We're going to move on down to public comments.
No public comments.
Huh?
There's no public comments for this meeting. Oh.
I have to ask,
Would
is
you
there,
have to offer?
is there anyone who would like to speak in public comments? I'll take that as a no. Okay. And we'll go to workshop. It would be our number 4. It says workshop. A, annual city events, and B, home rule chart.
So we're going to have a discussion about the events and what's happening with that. I know it's been a rocky road the last 6 to 8 months or so with how that has been moving forward and what's happening there. I have kind of a radical thought that might be a solution to what we're doing. And what I was thinking is that perhaps the city would want to get out of the major business of doing events, and that we might do something like host 1 or 2 events that are city events. Maybe perhaps like in the springtime, a Founders Day event, and then doing something in the fall, a fall festival or a winter festival or something like that. And then we currently block out about $60,000 for the events that we do. So we would budget $20,000 for the first event, $20,000 for the second event, and take $20,000 and put it into essentially a grants program that we would offer to community organizations that might want to run events for the city. Like if the chamber wanted to do the 4th of July, or if the Masons wanted to do an event or something like that, or a church wanted to do Martin Luther King or something like that. And they could apply to the city through this grant program that would be this kind of $20,000 earmarked to go out to organizations that want to offer events. We could design that so that it's limited to certain amounts of money or those types of things. But I think that just gets us out of the business of having to do events over and over and over again. It might be a better way to allocate those funds. And I think by allocating the 20,000, which is a slight increase from the 12,000 that we've been doing, we can really offer some fantastic events for the two that we do put on that would just be really shining stars for the city of Brookshire. That's my thought.
Kind of like it.
We'd have to be pretty careful with what we're spending public dollars on for private benefit, so we just have to, I don't know about that third tier, whether we can assist people in hosting events for us or on their own behalf.
Oh, okay.
So I'd probably look into it a little more. The general rule is that, our public funds set on the
I personally think that's what the whole malfunction has been, is back before Ms. Ward and Ms. Molina came, it was brought to our attention of the previous city administrator that the funds, it was a certain way that they had to be allocated to meet the state requirements. And then in January, Ms. Ward pointed out that she had the, I guess you would call them rules and regulations, Ms. Ward,
From the state.
from the state. So once again, in January last year, the council voted not to give out grants till we could first realize what the criteria was to meet for the grants for state guidelines, and second, that we could recoup some of our money from bringing the convention center up to code, as well as the purchase of the property across the street. I agree with you, Mr. McAnally, with the other two events. I think you left out a most important event would be Christmas, and if we didn't have a so-called Christmas festival, at least spend or allocate money for decorations. And last year was a little sad that on Highway 90, and maybe we could wrap all the trees instead of one out of the four.
Yeah. Just a question for legal, but does that then have to be an event, or can we have as a separate line item that's just like
Christmas
holiday decorations for the Christmas
We
time?
have a separate line item in our operational budget coming from the general fund, but I think what Ms. Branch is talking about, and I could be wrong, but the money that we had previously allocated through hotel motel. So hotel motel has restricted funds. I mean, that's restricted funding from the state. So there's, and help me if I'm explaining this correct. There's two different tiers in the hotel motel. There's what the city spends, what the city allocates for their own internal events, and then there's a second tier of what Ms. Branch is referring to is what is the hotel motel grants. The
Right.
hotel motel grants have almost like a third layer of restricted fund
Right.
guidelines than the city allocation. But we can, yes, most certainly go into the operational budget on the administration side or on the public works side and put in, Christmas decorations and budget accordingly, for that.
And I meant, so do you just throw up Christmas decorations and say, hello, people, you got Christmas decorations? Or do you make it, with the lack of a better word, the official Christmas tree lighting or Brookshire Christmas?
Right. I like what we do here for Christmas, Ms. Branch. I think we do a good job with that here, and that's what I was saying is we do maybe one in the spring and one in the winter or the fall. So maybe that's the second one we pick up is we do a winter festival or a Christmas festival or whatever we want to call it.
I think Ms. Branch could probably speak to it, but I think historically, the most long-standing event that the city of Brookshire has had is our Christmas festival tree lighting. I mean, from my perspective, I'd hate to see that go away just because it has such a historical purpose with the city. Now, it is evolved and de-evolved over the years. It's been, you know, it used to be something that was very large, and then I'm not really certain why, but it kind of, you know, changed, and it's not quite as large as it could be, but it could be a function of, you know, maybe we just didn't have the staff to put the effort, or the volunteers to put the effort towards it.
This is the foundation of how we used to do it. On Friday, the first Friday of December was the Christmas lighting, and we would have a what do you call that, a cantina, Sanders? Cantata, I'm sorry. I should have went to class. Yeah, you know where my head is today. And Santa Claus came in town on a fire truck, and all the little kids got to see Santa. And the year that I done it, and Chief, don't shoot me, we had it set up inside the convention center, and the judge and the prosecutor served hot chocolate and homemade cookies that I had ladies from the community make. And then we had different stations that you went to that the police helped the little children write letters to Santa. One station was you could build a snowman. You had your choice of building a snowman or a Santa Claus. The fire department passed out something, and Santa Claus gave all the little kids a Christmas ornament. That year we put labels on it. If we're going to let Santa give them a Christmas ornament, I would like, Miss Ward likes Amazon, and I'm sure she could find a way for it to, the Christmas ornament to be printed on there, the City of
Oh, cool.
Brookshire Christmas 2024. And then on the following day, we had a band inside the convention center, and we had some vendors inside the convention center, and vendors outside that sold peanut butter, homemade peanut butter brittle, fudge, Christmas decorations,
Like a
oh,
market.
yeah, like a,
So it's like a Christmas market kind of a
Yes.
thing.
and it was very successful. I ran a raffle that we got raffle items from the businesses, and the last year we done it, we had over 100 raffle items, and you didn't have to buy raffle tickets. If you came, you got a ticket, and every hour we drew 5, 10
10, right.
tickets, and everybody won. It may not be nothing except a Christmas plate. It may be, I don't, grown old since then. But it was a big time had by all, and it was done with the committee outside city council, even though that there was council members on that committee.
Well, you don't have to sell me on at Christmas. I think Christmas is a great event. And, you know, I tossed out a couple of ideas. I'd love doing, so do a Founder's Day and Christmas. I think that would be great. Or 4th of July and Christmas. I'm not here to say what two we should pick, but let's pick some.
Let me say something about 4th of July. 4th of July is a very stressful event to put on because the weather, you either are in drought. One year we had where we had to borrow pallets at the last moment to set the fireworks on. you may or may not get to have fireworks. Last year, we was gonna have the band outside in the new amphitheater, and at sort of the last minute, the band realized when the sun set, it was already hot and it was beaming, so we couldn't really use the amphitheater. So July 4th is very dependent on the weather, and there's a lot of people that go out of town for July 4th.
Sure. That's why I
I'm not
picked
opposed to it, but
I picked Founder's Day because I thought it would be a great way to celebrate the city of Brookshire. It's not religious, it's not racially attached in any way, so it's just a good, generic, wonderful way to celebrate the city of Brookshire.
Founder's Day, you could also have a fall festival, and let people, I guess you call it sort of like a Trader's Day or whatever, and have little kids dress up in their Halloween costumes. And
We have so many individual units that participate in Halloween, between the hangar and the police department and the library. I think we could really, the city could step out of doing any kind of Halloween event altogether, and it would still be a great festival and event that would occur here in the city.
Mr. McAnally, I didn't say compete with the hangar, the library,
I'm not-
everything. To have a fall festival, and you could still have vendors and bands, and the weather is getting cool enough that we could use the amphitheater, and maybe you could incorporate a kids' costume contest, because they don't only have to wear the costume contest on Halloween, right, Miss Ward? You can go to pre-K in your Mary Poppins Halloween.
At that point, I know this is, the context of it is much grander than us, but you look at, like, the city of Brenham, they started doing, May Day. I think it's called May Day. And it's kind of their is that what it's called? It's kind of their founder, Mayfest, yeah, it's kind of their Founder's Day celebration, and they started doing all kinds of, like, you know, kids' activities and the Mayfest parade and all that kind of stuff. And I think, if y'all didn't know, our founding month is May, so it's in that spring.
Yeah.
I've seen some other municipalities as well, because Earth Day is usually at the end of April, and if you combine it, there was one, I think it was done up in the Woodlands, and I mean like 10, 12 years ago, where they did like an Earth Day, but they made it into kind of like a festival where they had vendors, and it was educational for the public as well. So they had vendors out there that were talking about how to check your sprinkler systems to make sure you don't have a leak, to conserve water.
In Simonton, we
Yeah.
did what we called a spring roundup.
And they had like rain barrels that you can put under your gutters, but add these tablets into them to keep the mosquito population down. And they talked about just different ways to kind of care for your yard and help conserve water and help, you know, retain soil loss and things like that. So they even had vendors that were selling like compost bins that would easily fit inside of a backyard, and combining some sort of aspect of that with like a founders festival, I think would be kind of neat, since it is in the spring.
Yeah. Mayor, you can allow public comment?
Sure.
Come on.
I'm sitting here listening to y'all, and you know, last month, y'all was telling me about Martin Luther King, that we had 3 events, that we trying to split this city apart. Just sitting here listening to y'all, everything y'all talking about, y'all trying to split, y'all trying to take all the events away from us. You trying to take Juneteenth, Cinco de Mayo, and stuff like that, and that's the only thing we got. And I'm sitting here listening to y'all talking about Christmas party and some other event. But what is it for the community, for the citizens? I mean, I see y'all done bought brand new cars. Y'all fixing this city hall up. You done fixed the museum. You got Noah's Ark over there. Nobody attend. So y'all haven't asked the citizens nothing. So what is it for us? That's what I'm asking. My tax dollars, like I said, I spend all my damn tax dollars right here in Brookshire, and I get nothing out of it. And now you're trying to take Juneteenth from me. You done took my trail ride because you lied about the money that you was gonna give me, and I didn't get it. So I mean, can anybody answer me? What is it for the citizens? Last meeting I came to, we got to get the mayor air conditioned. Oh, we got to get the police station fixed up. Oh, we got to get the city hall fixed up. Do y'all ask the citizens anything about the community? I mean, we got this Noah's Ark built over here. I haven't nobody used it. And what can I ask where that money come from?
Sales tax.
Huh?
Sales tax.
It was
Oh, it is?
restricted funds.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. But it's not being used. It's just a waste.
And doubly
And y'all didn't ask the citizens.
You missed
I
the
feel
three-party.
but I feel you
was it
should have asked
two
the
or three
citizens something
parties?
about it. But now you just taking.
About
The amphitheater,
theater.
we had the grand opening, and then I think that there was an event out there for Christmas as well as a Halloween event and something else.
Okay,
I think that, if I could just say though, the city traditionally has had multiple events, and if you look at the attendance by the citizens, it's been very poor, but how can we control that?
okay, you should ask the citizens what they think about it. Y'all just built it. I mean, we
No,
have no say
I'm
so on
talking,
nothing.
I'm talking about events in general. Events in general, the population of our citizens don't tend to attend the events. So what we're
Because-
talking about is like, instead of trying to put a little bit of money into a bunch, what if we do two really, really well? And nobody ever said anything about getting rid of any of the other ones. We're letting other organizations do their own thing for MLK, Juneteenth, Cinco de Mayo, and whatever other event that they want to do. But like how we're talking about the Christmas event used to be really grandiose, and it
I've
hasn't
never seen
been.
it great. I've been here all my life.
Whenever I first moved here in 2017, we came out here
I've
and
been
there
here
was a
since-
snow hill, and there was Santa, and there was a ton of stuff going on.
Well, our Juneteenth been great. I mean, I hear them talking about
Nobody
the weather.
said it wasn't.
The
Mr.
weather
Lasker.
on July 4th. Oh, the weather. That's anything. I mean, Christmas event, it can be snowing outside.
Oh, but I was just addressing your comment that said that the amphitheater
Well,
was built and that it hasn't been used. It has been used, but it hasn't been attended by very many people, and I think that's unfortunate. Because if we put aside whatever feelings that you have about it and just attend the event, you would see that it's actually a nice event. But we can't force people to attend an event, no matter who plans it, right?
But it just made me upset because last month y'all was all on my ass about that we having 3 Martin Luther King events, that we dividing the city. And I'm listening, the only time we get together is like Juneteenth, Cinco de Mayo. And I haven't heard none of y'all say nothing about that.
Okay, Mr. McAnally,
no.
I'm going to try and answer your question to the best of my ability.
Okay.
And I think Mr. McAnally formed it in a very polite sort of way.
Okay.
Why, if we know that there's a Martin Luther King, well, since you brought up Martin Luther
Yes,
King,
I
I'm going to
did.
use that
Y'all
example.
jumped on me last month about
I didn't
3
jump on
we having
nobody.
3
I don't know
separate
who
events.
jumped on you,
Yes.
but I'm trying to
Y'all
answer
said, why
your
we dividing the
question.
city because
Okay.
there's 3 events.
So
Your
do
3
we-
minutes is already
I thought it was open mic, man. I didn't know. If I'd have known this 3 minutes,
So do you want me to answer your question or not, Mr. Lasker?
you know,
Mr. Lasker, what
go ahead.
Mr. McAnally said was where we don't step on each other's toes and where there's not 3 separate events and you got this group over here and this group over here and this group that is clearly dividing the city, then let's have 2 or 3 big events that has nothing to do with race or did
Religion.
you
That
say
is not
religion?
Religion, yeah.
Nothing.
I don't.
Race or religion. So, Mr. Lasker, last month there was a big old, and God knows I didn't want to have to speak on it, but there was a big old capoofle about race and who was this race and that race, and I said it then and I'll say it again tonight. It has nothing to do with race.
You think I worry
But
about
I'm
that?
going to tell you that you know dadgum good and well that there is going to be a Juneteenth festival. And that is what we are trying to get away from, where we don't step on nobody's toes. Cinco de Mayo when Miss Lima's done a wonderful job. Well, at that time, Election Day was not the first week of May, it was the second week of May. Now, in order to do Cinco de Mayo, you can't do it here at the convention center or use, it's called the amphitheater, not Noah's Ark, because it is election time. You can't use the city hall because it's early election. The Friday night before election day, the machines are already set up for Saturday. So what we're trying to do is to all come together, have a three neutral for everybody, and nobody's feelings is hurt, and anybody that wants to participate can participate in those. It has nothing to do with what you're talking about.
That's all fine and dandy. I understand the 3 events. But I'm still gonna celebrate Juneteenth on
Nobody
that
told
date.
you not
Well, you
to.
just said 3 events that we all trying to come together. But I'm just saying.
Go celebrate Juneteenth
Okay, I'm
wherever
always
you
celebrating.
want to celebrate
you-
Juneteenth. Guess what? We're going to celebrate
Okay.
Juneteenth at
And
my
it's
house,
nothing to do
too.
with color. It's nothing to do with color. But I'm gonna celebrate Juneteenth. That's what I'm saying. You saying 3 events for the whole city. But if it don't fall on Juneteenth, I don't care. I'm still gonna celebrate my
Celebrate
okay,
Juneteenth.
okay.
I'm going to celebrate Juneteenth at my house, too.
And that's what I'm saying. And I'm gonna celebrate 4th of
You gonna
July
barbecue
too.
ribs on
I'm gonna
Juneteenth.
celebrate. I ain't worried about that. I'm gonna celebrate 4th of July too. I don't care about the weather or nothing. I'm gonna celebrate that.
I'm happy for you, Mr.
Okay,
Plaster.
because yeah, I heard you said something about the weather. That's why we can't have.
Well, Mr. Oscar, we're talking about
Can't
two different-
pop fireworks
We're
if
not
you
talking about-
have a
I
burn
don't
ban.
care. I'm still-
You
I
came
don't
to
need-
argue
Well,
with us.
We're not talking about,
You asked me to come. They asked me to come. They asked me to come to this meeting. Can I voice my opinion?
You already have.
we're not talking about getting rid of,
Tell you what,
of,
I bet you, I guarantee.
of the
March 5th
celebration.
will be
We're
a
not
different
saying there
story.
can't be a Juneteenth celebration or there can't be a Cinco de Mayo celebration. Just the city wouldn't be in charge of planning it.
Okay, I know you.
That's the only thing we're saying. If another group wants to do a Juneteenth and they want to come down here and they want to fill out the paperwork to use the park, Bostic Park or whatever, and they want to have a band and that group wants to do that, that is absolutely and perfectly okay with the city for them to do that and to offer it to everybody in the community that wants to participate.
Or just this
We're
last
saying
year,
that
a
Don't
parade
the
never-
was-
city
don't say
won't be
like when on Martin
sponsoring
Luther
it.
King that I was trying to divide the city because of the 3 events. That's what I was hearing. That y'all was saying that I was trying to divide the city. So I can do what I want to do. I didn't ask the city for not one dime. So don't come and tell me I'm trying to divide the city because I
Well,
got 3
I don't know.
events.
I don't know who told you that. It wasn't me
I
that told you
came-
that.
I've been to
but
the last 3 meetings,
I-
and it was like, oh, y'all trying to divide. Why y'all having 3 events? I paid for my own event. I didn't ask the city for nothing because they screwed me out
Fantastic.
on my
And I think
my
that's
trail
exactly
ride.
the way it should happen.
Okay, so you can't ask me, you can't say that we divide the city, now all, everybody want to come together and say this, let's have a big party. No, I'm going to celebrate when I want to, and like I said, I'm always celebrate Juneteenth. I'm going to celebrate
Fantastic.
July 4th. I don't care if it's raining or snowing, I'm going to do it.
Let's do
okay?
it.
So,
And we're not saying you can't. We're not saying you can't invite everybody in the city to come.
You too.
Am I lost?
Let's just leave it alone, Mr.
Okay.
Let's just leave it alone.
Let's keep on.
Everybody breathe
keep on.
and let's move forward.
Okay. Is there any more discussion about city events?
Is this anything that needs to have action taken, or
This is really not an accident.
I mean, I would recommend that council have a cohesive understanding of what we're gonna do, cause it doesn't really, if, y'all have to guide us in the direction of what you wanna see done. So, y'all, at the, what, 2 meetings ago, you'd put a pause on all city events, so as of right now, all city events are paused. but as a council, I need you guys to direct Eric and I going forward, what events do you want to be what we're classifying as city-sponsored events?
Could we,
We know where to put our energy and how to reallocate budgeting for that.
I agree with Mr. McAnally with Founder's Day in May.
Christmas in the winter?
I'd like to see another, we had 5 festivals, am I correct?
6, wasn't it? Was it 6, 5 or 6?
We had,
Martin Luther King,
we had we had Christmas.
Cinco de Mayo,
Cinco de Mayo,
Juneteenth,
Juneteenth,
July 4th,
July 4th.
July 4th,
And Christmas.
and Christmas.
So there was 5. If we break it down to Founder's Day in May, that gives you something in May. In September, or maybe the first part of October, the Fall Festival, that gives people that coming, you have no more holidays and days off till Thanksgiving, so that gives everybody sort of, they're in town, they could have a place to go, I guess you could say.
We've always typically, I think y'all have always typically
And then
done
Christmas.
Christmas, the first Friday and Saturday of December.
Mhm.
If you wanted to bridge the gap a little bit more, a lot of cities have started moving that up and doing it the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving. Up for discussion. I mean,
No, I like having it in, the only problem I have with the first weekend is that we directly compete with Katy, because they have their big Christmas
almost
event.
every city either does it the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving. So Sealy and Belleville do the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving. Katy,
Even Galleria does it on Thanksgiving Day.
Brookshire, everybody else around us does it that first week. I mean, those are just very common days. I mean, it's just kind of comes.
It's a lot of people that's out of town then, but I'm not opposed to that at all.
Yeah.
We're staying away from race and religion. Does Christmas fall under that religion tax or no?
Calling it a winter festival. Like either a winter festival or calling it like the Brookshire tree lighting. And I think, well, I know I think we talked about it briefly last year of at some point, obviously our Christmas decorations are going to take time to progress, but I've seen other entities and things like that where they'll have one big tree and then you have different organizations that can make their own ornament and come and put it on the tree so that the tree is kind of like a representation of your whole community. Yeah.
And I mean, there's some things we can do if we want to include other, let's get a menorah and put it in the window of the Donegan house, you know, or something. I mean, we can do some things like that to be more inclusive, if we call it a winter festival kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Could we just move on and give everybody a chance to sort of run those 3
We're in no
events
time frame. I mean, yeah.
to their head and bring it back maybe maybe not next, but maybe the next council meeting.
Put it on the agenda for next council meeting.
Not the next council meeting, the first one in March. We'll put it that way. Easy. Does that work for everybody else?
Well,
I'm sorry,
express
I
that
didn't
opinion.
hear what
Sounds-
you.
No, so I didn't, because I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, but speaking to the mic. No, if you have a valid
Yeah,
reason
but
for it,
what we're
I'd
saying
love
is
to
that
hear
now
it.
is the time to express your opinion because each of us are just a single vote on council. So if you have something that differs, it's okay to say that you have an opinion that differs.
I disagree, like I was telling both of these two, I disagree. I feel like, with the community that we have, I mean, like the MLK, Martin Luther King, 4th of July, Cinco de Mayo, it brought something to everyone in the year. You know what I'm saying? Everybody not gonna participate in the Earth Day or, you know what I'm saying? Like, so have something for them. You know what I mean? If they not gonna participate in Earth Day, what was the one you had? Like, well, I'm not talking about the
Founder's Day.
Christmas thing, but the other one that you brought.
Founder's Day.
Founder's Day
Founder's Day.
and Fall Fling or something to that effect. Well,
discuss it again. Yeah.
Just one question before we move on. We do now have a clear understanding and a packet of how outside agencies need to approach us for those dollars, right?
Correct, and just so that everybody is clear, it is not an interpretation by the city. I actually contacted the state directly and got the state's recommendation of hotel motel application. There's an application to apply beforehand, and then there's actually a 4-page report that is due back to us that we have to keep on file for comptroller's purposes. It's a full report that has to be filled out. It's called post-event report, and that was what was given.
And so if we earmark dollars from hotel motel in anticipation that some agencies may come and ask for that, is that getting us in trouble?
Yes.
Any outside agencies may come and ask for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't.
Why not?
Restricted funds.
No, but what she's saying is that they can apply.
They can apply.
Apply, prove they're gonna put heads in beds, generate sales tax.
And and here are the 7 areas where the money is allowed to be used, right? One of them is to pay for,
They have
right.
to show, tell us.
One of them is to pay for the acts, pay for a musical act is one of the things that you could use it for. Your talent.
The caveat to hotel motel is it's not an upfront
Right.
expense.
Reimbursement.
It's a reimbursement.
I get that, I get that.
And so they
See,
have-
that was the thing, like, most people's coming in and saying, you know, but they have to show this to get the funds refunded,
Correct,
basically.
and it's not hey, I had 2 people stay in a hotel.
No,
Right?
it has to be that you have to like call the hotel and create a
Thorough
block of
report.
rooms, and they have to
Yeah,
prove that those were
10 or
reserved.
more.
Prove that not only were people, and there is a formula, I don't know it off the top of my head, but there is a formula for heads in beds. You have to have a report run by the hotel.
Uh-huh.
You can't just say, hey, Susie, Joe, Bill, John, all say it. No. It is the hotel has to submit a report, and it's considered supplemental documentation to the report. Then you have to be able to prove the economic impact on the city and what those estimated sales tax dollars. Did you have flyers printed? Who was the business in the city limits of Brookshire who printed those flyers? What was the economic impact? So it is very thorough. I'm not going to say that it's unattainable. It's very attainable, but it has to be. It has to be a very well organized event, and you essentially have to request the application. And in my opinion, you need to look at it from a business perspective and back into the event to make sure that it meets those measurables.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think where Ms. Branch was alluding to is that in the past, there wasn't a clear understanding of hotel motel.
I agree 100% with
They
that.
are extremely restricted. They've become even more restricted over the past couple of years because there was an abuse of those funds by cities all over the state. They were doing, which to my understanding is what Brookshire was doing. We were giving the funds ahead of the event and then finding out later that the event didn't qualify. Like, you bought 13 t-shirts for your friends to do an event that came in from another city. That doesn't qualify. So it's a very thorough application now that you kind of have to back into. And I sent one out today to somebody who requested it, and I may hear back, I may not, but I have to do ourselves the service of sending it so that they know up front. This is
Absolutely.
what's
My point is that, as I understand it, we have those funds are limited that we get. We get a limited amount of those funds each year.
Whole budget, it has not changed over the last several years from what I
Right.
can.
And as a city, we have agreed to take a certain set of those funds because we have much broader use guidelines for the money than,
The city's aspect is a little bit more lax
Right.
than the grant. So
Right.
there's the line item of grants where, people come in, like Mr. Woods came in and requested, and it's restricted for the city. We can't use it to buy office supplies.
Right.
It is restricted. But then it becomes even more restricted when we administer it third party.
I agree. So my point is just saying that right now, we are taking $60,000 of those hotel motel months, and we're saying we're gonna use those at the city level to do city events with the less restrictive amounts. So what I'm saying is, can we now say we're gonna take 40,000, 50,000 of that and use it for 2 or 3 events, and take whatever's left, and we're just gonna earmark it. We're just gonna set it over to the side and say, if somebody comes and they meet all the criteria for the grant and want to be reimbursed for an event that they did in Brookshire, that we know that there's gonna be money available for them.
Currently have $25,000 budgeted.
How much?
25,000 already budgeted.
Oh, it's already there for that. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that we already had that money set aside for that.
We have
Got it.
25,000
So we could take the extra 10 then and just dump it into that and make it 35 that's available if people want it or whatever. Okay. That's easy.
I'm probably opening up a can of worms, and I apologize to you ladies before. This is the second or third time that Mr. Lasker has alluded to that he was not reimbursed and this, that, and the other. I don't know the details. I don't need to know the details. But could someone please speak with Mr. Lasker? See, does he have the receipts? Where the receipts?
We talked to him. He says he does not have the receipts. He does not have copies. He says he turned in his original receipts. We never saw them. Eric and I never saw them. And we asked him, okay, well, we haven't seen them. They have not been sent to us. Do you have the originals? Because we just assumed he made copies. He said, no, he doesn't have copies.
So you don't have nothing.
So there's,
So we have asked him. We have reached out to him.
so there's no way that, let's say that he bought 40 T-shirts
Right.
and that they were printed here in Brookshire, and I don't even know if T-shirts qualifies for part of the, let's just say, and he could go back to Sally Sue's T-shirt shop and bring y'all the
Sure.
receipt.
We would we would
You would-
definitely-
okay.
sure, absolutely.
Well,
I mean, typically we say it's 30 to 45 days. At most 60. You like to keep it 45. Is you have within 45 days to come back and ask for the reimbursement. But, and to my understanding, he's far beyond that. But at this point, I mean, yes, if he could produce that and he met those measurables, then we would.
I'm pretty sure that he should be able to go back to whatever vendor or company and get a, but
Yeah.
anyway, I just wish that it was taken care of. Okay, I'm done with that.
Okay, the next item we have is the, home rule charter. What do you want to speak on?
This is a discussion for council. I've just provided you with the information from TML, the differences between home rule and general law. I put both the state constitution and the Texas government code in your packet. And then there was a couple of bullet points from Justin. I had reached out to Justin about some stuff, and I think Bridget has some legal stuff.
If y'all have questions, or I can kind of give a general review to start, if they have, I don't know how deep you guys got into your packets and what you know versus what you don't.
We didn't get, well, I personally didn't get my packet till I sat down.
Yeah, they weren't here until tonight.
I know that there was a draft made and we discussed, I don't know, were you here last time, Ms. Baker? And we discussed it and Mr. McAnally had some questions about dates and did we ever get
Yes.
those sort of cleared up?
Yes.
And I know that the charter committee worked very hard on all of that, but once again, here we are with a 7-page homeroom charter that I was presented to at 6:30.
Well, it's basically, the only thing that changed in here was, like, it said 2 and then it had a 3 in parentheses. It was very minimal. I mean, the changes were not anything except for terms.
But this council's never ever even seen that. This was,
But we had it last meeting.
Sanders, what year did y'all write this charter?
2019, May of 2019.
And it's been sitting in the cobwebs
Gotcha.
somewhere. And even though that it was presented at the last meeting, now that the corrections has been made, and please, council, don't shoot me. I'd like to have an opportunity, I don't wanna read word for word, but I would like an opportunity to at least familiarize myself with what's in here and ask that we come back with another workshop where we could all have time to highlight any questions that we may or may not have.
And I think my understanding, from what Ms. Ward had mentioned at our previous meeting was that the only thing that council needs to decide as to whether or not we're gonna put it on the ballot in May, and that we have really until the end of March.
To do the,
Yeah, we have until the end of March to come back and have additional workshops like you're mentioning, Ms. Branch, where we can fine tune anything that we want to, because the final copy just has to be mailed out to citizens 30 days ahead. So we really have until about the end of March.
And I'm really nervous about the mail out because, remind me to tell you something. Of how the code enforcement, the trash cans, and the city taxes, I think, and it's no reflection to you ladies whatsoever. Politically correct. I don't even know how to politically correct say that it was really messed up. I still haven't received anything about code enforcement, anything about trash, and if you read Facebook, there's a whole lot of citizens a little upset still about the trash that they've not still gotten their first trash can. They don't know how to pay their bill. And did we do our due diligence? I'm not sure that we did. But this is something that's very important that can't be changed for 2 years. And I know that there's going to be a low turnout, as usual, for the city elections. But I want to make sure that we as a council don't just throw something out there and it not pass because we didn't get it mailed out in time, and at least give the citizens the opportunity to come before council, as well as Ms. Ward and Ms. Molina, with any questions that they may have. And I'm not prepared to do that at this time. If y'all are prepared, we can go
I
for
would
it.
definitely, I completely fair, and we can do that. But I would take the opportunity while everybody's here, if anybody has any questions, to ask questions. And Bridget can clarify a couple things, just because it gives us a little bit, it gives us the opportunity to have some.
What's the deadline we have to decide if we want to put it on the May ballot?
Well,
No.
February 16th
Yeah.
is the day we have to.
February 16th, so so we would have to decide at the next council meeting.
correct.
If we decide to put it on the ballot and we get through this at the end of March and we just go, man, this thing has just not come together the way we want it to, are we required to put it on the ballot at that point, or can we pull it back and say, no, we're not going to put it on?
Well,
Once we've ordered the election,
there's a window of time that you can cancel the election, but after a certain time, the ballots are already done, and no, you cannot. There's a window, there's a cancellation date. And I don't know it right off the top of my head,
You
though.
said something about, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we could order the election for the charter to be on the ballot, and we would have, and like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, till April something to get it mailed out to the citizens.
right, there's a few different dates in there. We have to have it ordered by February 16th. There's an early March date that, we would need to have our, language submitted
Ballot.
and for the ballot, because, are we with the county? Yes. Okay, so county prints those, so we have no control over that. And then there's, is it an April date that it'll have to be mailed to all the registered voters? in the
Is it 30 days from election day or 30 days from the start of early voting?
No, it's election day.
Okay, so then, election day is May 4th, so I would
April
assume that by
So,
April
but-
4th.
But the cancellation to cancel an election, there's a window, and it would fall in late March or mid to late March.
Okay.
So,
The other thing that I thought y'all also mentioned was that whenever it comes time to mail them, that it's not just like a database that the city has, right? It goes based off of the
Let me just
county
say
tax
something.
records.
It's Brookshire Post Office is the problem. Because Brookshire Post Office is sending us tax receipts that say Friendswood, Texas on them, and they're getting delivered to Brookshire. I have no idea why. They lost a whole mailing of the original cards.
Like a whole stat?
We
Like,
did bulk
like the
mailing.
entire.
No, I know,
city.
and I'm, because
Like
I'm
the-
familiar
yeah.
with bulk mailing, and bulk mailing isn't cheap, and you
The
have to
whole-
count and rubber band them with the instructions of this goes to this
Well, so we
section.
had a company that did it, and they did it a second one for us for free because they
That was really nice of
For the
them.
trash cans?
This
Yeah.
was like to talk
No.
about the trash and
Yeah,
the
'cause I
code
didn't get-
enforcement.
And they lost.
But that's what we're saying, like bulk mailing, I mean,
fixing to say, I didn't even get
you have to go to the
The
USDS
difference
website.
I came here and
between
I know.
this
But this is
and,
between-
But that's why I
what we've
also,
done in the
I'm like, I took
past
pictures and
Is
posted it.
that we have to send a notice based on voter registration.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a database that is here. It's based on the voter registration with the county.
Yes.
Right.
So, they're gonna pull voter registration and it is your physical address. But in your case, like you have a mailing address and a lot of times it will show up when you pull the voter registration because they have to mail your voter registration card
Correct.
to you. So, a lot of times they will put your physical address and then on the second line of the address, it'll say PO
PO box, whatever, yeah.
whatever. So it's a different list that we send from versus when we did the bulk mail and it was just out to resident at, like, this is addressed to each individual
Right.
voter. Now, I don't know that secures the process anymore because it's the end recipient at the post office where the issue is arising. So we would wanna be super diligent on sending it out sooner than later.
Yeah, but we can also post it around town. We can post it on the website. We can post it on Facebook. We can post it at the library. We can post it on wherever, we would need to get it out. I mean,
And this could be an opportunity to ask for other organizations, like, hey, can you help share the word?
sure.
We can ask the school
Yeah.
district if they would also want us, I don't know.
Yeah, so we can, there are
That might be-
multiple
I don't know.
avenues that we can use.
Yeah, and it's really not a high legal bar to say we ordered it to be sent to every single
Right.
registered address. If that doesn't happen, we're not implicated, that's what we directed and it
And to
was
be
supposed
honest,
to
by
happen.
using a secondary company that this is what they do, there is a level of protection in that they document the entire process from printing to mailing. Like in this
Like
case where we
tracking.
had the bulk, it was trackable, so they were
Like
able
we
to say.
knew Brookshire got
Right,
it.
we knew that it was delivered and it stopped there and it did not go out, so they redid the process for us at no charge to us. So we would probably utilize the same company and service just for that same, being able to track it and have some sort of reference.
We have an option also to consider putting this on the November ballot, correct?
We do. So if the city doesn't have an election
It's,
scheduled in November, we do have to pay for an election to be called on behalf of the city. Even if there is like a presidential election, we still have to pay for our city portion of that election, and it's roughly about $8,000, like $7,900 and something else, right? The election fee?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's an additional $8,000 if we
Right.
hold it in November, if we
For
put it
a
on in
ci-
November.
For a city, yes.
Even though there's already a presidential
Correct,
election.
because they're actually processing it, like on the city side. It's
Got
the
it.
processing that has the fee associated with it.
can I ask a question, and you might not know? Brookshire Municipal Water District will be holding an election.
Do they reimburse the city for a portion of the ballot?
That's my question. So will we be,
Hold it together.
yes, Branch, I know you want me to shut up, but of
No,
course,
that ain't
35 years later, I'm still gonna say it.
No, that's not.
I
So
didn't even think about that until you brought it up just now.
will the water
I never
district,
thought about that.
we all vote in the same place? Or will we have to go to the,
I don't know how, do you know?
It used to be on one ballot.
No, yeah, it's always,
well,
It's always
that's,
Should be on
been
one
the
ballot.
that's
one part.
where, that's our question.
I know,
Because
but you
say
said
that
you don't
it's
know, but I'm just saying.
$6,000 for the city of Brookshire.
do they also
And
pay
if the
fee?
water district wants to be on the same ballot, then they need to up $3,000 and I need my money off the top.
But they're contracting directly with the county also.
Oh,
though.
Jesus.
I was gonna say, do they pay a
That's
separate
between
fee?
them and county. So it doesn't matter that there's a county election and whatever, other elections that are going on, it's between us and the county,
Yeah,
and it's
just
between them
like
and the
to Tony's
county.
point, like even
So-
though there's a November presidential election, we don't get to just slide in and put something on the ballot. It's the recording of the actual election for the entity. So, yeah, I don't know how, I mean, I'm assuming their agreement is.
Maybe they have to pay their own fee.
So could we
That
do
would be good to
this
find out.
again this time next week?
Can we decide on this
For the
next week?
charter and have any questions?
Yep, because, I mean, I'd like to read over it myself.
So can we request then that it be on the agenda to where we can either vote to have it, well,
Keep in mind,
first
we do
question.
have a council meeting next week. Do you just want to make it an agenda item, a workshop within the council meeting?
Well, that's what I was just, well, not quite asking her, but asking
Along the same
her
lines.
because I had requested a special meeting with BDC and the city council, and could we do it before or after, but that date hasn't been set. But I know that Miss Taylor can't get here before the and you can say, Miss
It
Branch,
just
you don't know what
depends,
you
if I
talking.
get a heads up, that's what I was telling them, it depends on when.
So could
I
we,
get a heads up, not the week before
You
and say
can
we're
have a
gonna have a
workshop
meeting.
within a council meeting. It can be the first item on the agenda is that we have, a workshop, and then.
or could we do it 30 minutes before next
And
council?
we do 6:30, or she says.
When that date,
Next
that's what I'm saying, it
It's
depends
a
on
week
the
and a half
council.
from now.
Thursday. Yeah.
On Thursday.
It's probably
15.
5, so we'll meet at 6:30 again, right?
Mhm.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so I think, and I think that would probably be more amenable to everybody rather than having two separate.
Because there's nothing I'd rather do on Valentine's Day than have a
It's the 15th.
extended,
It's the 15th.
oh, it's the 15th?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Please?
I thought it was 14th.
You're welcome, Lori.
Lori, get it.
Lori, when he's a day late and $1 short, remember that
That's what I said.
he knew way ahead of time.
And I will say, while he's here, is there anything you wanna add about when y'all went through this process? Any historical stuff you wanna add to
Or
the
the-
whole home rule process?
Perfectly written document. Historically, city council each was charged with picking 2 people from the community. We had a great group of 10 people that everything in there was voted on and passed unanimously. And if we didn't have unanimous vote, we talked and worked it out to where it was unanimous. So that it was one of the most cohesive things I've ever been a part of. We studied Prairie Views, Hempstead, Sealy, Katy, Fulshire. We looked at all of their charters and took the best pieces of that and the things that we prioritized and wanted in there. And like I said, the last workshop, was it 3 years ago, by Zoom, I think, where I said, and that was still the city council that picked us. I said, you picked, you wanna know what the community wanted in a charter? The community wrote the charter. So that's what I maintain the same thing. If you wanna know what the community wants in a charter, you wrote it. So I can name everybody that was there. I got it, and they all still feel the same way.
And I will just add from my perspective, I mean, this is council's directive, it's not mine. It's council's directive and, we're relying on the work that Mr. Singers and his committee did. Justin and I have done some research going back, looking at, we've pulled every municipality in the state of Texas and their population, and we have zeroed down from 4,000 to 6,000, the communities that fall in those population ranges. And as of today, we're the only city we can find over the population of 5,000 that is a general law city. So it's very uncommon that when a city reaches 5,000, it doesn't even when they're on the cusp. I know Fulshire was a little later, and if you talk to the people who were involved in that charter, which I'm sure y'all did, they would have wished they would have done it sooner. I've gotten a couple of phone calls in my office, just from people having reached out to them, I think with some misinformation about home rule, that going home rule is some sort of power grab by council, or that it takes the power of council members away, and to be quite honest, that's the complete opposite.
Mhm.
Going home rule gives the city the most power. Because what it does is it allows you to outline essentially your own charter of how you want your city to run, rather than having to be defaulted to exactly what the state says you can and cannot do. As cities have continued to progress and grow, I think one of the things that has become important with home rule cities is that they can operate their EDCs differently, and there are some annexation benefits to being a home rule versus a general law. Think, did I miss any major points?
We can collect some more fees. There are, I've written one more down in addition to what you said. Oh yeah, initiative and referendum options you can write in for, and then term limits is main things. I mean, you set terms, you set what makes a quorum, you can set how many you want up there. Today, you guys had to have 4 people here because it's a special meeting, so you had to have 2/3 here. If one of you didn't show up, we weren't having this meeting. That's not a problem once you're a home rule city. You said how many you wanted a special and how many you wanted a regular.
I just like the opportunity to read how many.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, they're not, yeah, and they're
So-
definitely not asking you to pass what's in front of you now.
So
It's-
we're all in agreement that we're going to revisit this next Thursday at 6:30, which is not Valentine's Day,
and it'll
Mr.
be
McInerney.
I'm ready to go.
What you'll be considering is an ordinance ordering the election.
Right.
For it. And then we would need to come back and y'all need to fine tooth comb, and I can stand up there and we can go provision by provision. If
Mhm.
that's something we want to do, and
Can I say one word to this? We had Mr. Pertown guiding us the whole time. He'd written several of the ones that we were looking at, so it was, again, it was a great process. That was, we'll consider the opportunity.
Well, and I think I'll just say one last thing, because I know I'm the one that originally asked for this to be brought back before council, because I know that it had been a number of years since it was originally considered. And I think just as we look at our school district and it's growing exponentially, we look at, like you said, some of the benefits of being a home rule charter, with the annexation benefits, being able to charge additional fees so that we can have revenue for our city to prepare for the growth. I think over and over again, you look at different situations where there's government involvement. It seems like things get decided upon and change happens after the fact, and it's like we're trying to play catch up instead of prepare for. And I think we have an opportunity to prepare for the growth that's coming. You know, like the gas line work behind the schools is done, and that Riverway development is supposed to be breaking ground kind of any day. They've already agreed into annexation. We're looking at 7,500 homes coming to our school district, which is going to be a population of like 4,500 students. You know, that's just more people that are coming to our area. And I just think that was the whole reason why I asked for it to be brought up again, was that we are growing. Brookshire today is not the same that it was Brookshire yesterday, and it's not going to be the same as Brookshire tomorrow. And we need to kind of prepare ourselves for the change that is coming, and to how to continue to make things better. So,
the 7,500 coming, and I'm playing the devil's advocate. In 4 years, everyone here could be uprooted by those new homes, and then they're picking the charter.
Right. Okay.
another concern that I had.
I think we can move on there.
Okay, any other further discussion? Agenda item number 6 is adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Uh,